On behalf of AmWestEntertainment.com and AmWager.com, I'm Joe Christofak, and the man to the other side of your screen, never imitated, thus never duplicated. It's the incomparable Pat Cummings. And look, Pat, it's week 5 of the Dubai World Cup Carnival.
10 nights at the Carnival, Joe. This is the 5th, and then we end up at the World Cup, which is the all-encompassing 11th night, so we're coming to the midway point, and frankly, it's a great card to get us to the midway point with lots of action and lots to talk about.
Yeah, it's just great to see how the Carnival progresses. You're seeing these horses run for the second, in some cases even the third time already, and then you're also seeing continuous fresh faces pop up in a lot of very classy races, and we've got some good ones to talk about, as you mentioned. AmWestEntertainment.com for the comprehensive free PPs, track stats, Pat Cummings analysis and selections, and live video every Thursday race day and the 2 Saturdays as well. So visit AmWestEntertainment.com for a plethora of great information on the Carnival. Pat, before we fire up Thursday's action, let's rewind back to night 4 of the Carnival, which in my opinion was certifiably good. The Cape Verde field was very formidable, but Certify was actually in hand until the deep stretch before besting a very game L'Amour de ma Vie. Now, she's a perfect 5 for 5. The only excuse Sharuk had probably is she's better on synthetics, and Flotilla, surprisingly, flat as a comeback, disappointing in her comeback run.
Yeah, I was equally disappointed. I thought she probably was going to be best off the layoff, but look, there was no question how good Certify was in this race. She sat a perfect trip in hand, absolutely no question, and off they went. It was just a kind of a matter of how much Mikel Barcelona wanted to really loosen her up at the end. Look, this is very impressive. The winner of this race last year was Sajha. She goes on to win the Dubai Duty Free in what was a 4-race carnival for her. She won this, the Balanchine, then she beats the boys in the Jebel Hatta and the Dubai Duty Free. The sky seems to be the limit, and this is a filly, Joe, that came off of a layoff of more than a year. To put it in perspective, they went very slow early. She ran the final 3/4 of a mile, final 1,200 meters in 108.2 seconds. Now, granted, the first 3 finishers all broke the 109 barrier because it was very slow through the first quarter, but still, this was very impressive. She did it easy. I will say I was a little concerned that L'Amour de ma Vie was the horse that she did beat. You know, she was clearly the longest shot on the board. So there was a little concern there, but look, no, can't take away from Certify. She should only improve for this. If all things are good, she will be a monumental favorite if she comes back in the Balanchine.
Well, L'Amour de la Vie, she ran a huge race. I mean, hey, you got to give her a little bit of credit, and look at who.
Oh, they'll take the black type.
Well, look at who she beat, too. I mean, she easily disposed of a lot of very good, classy horses. So it'll be interesting to see how this race plays out moving forward. Pat, the Al Rashidiyah, this was the Mike the Cock show.
It was. They run 1-2, and I'll tell you, they were surprised it was this 1-2 in this order. Mushrek, who had run very well in the Singspiel Stakes, you know, he's the horse to basically catch midway down the stretch, but Mujarib, Christophe Soumian, who very rarely gets the ride for Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, he is here in the black cap on the outside and just motoring home. From the 600-meter pole to the 200-meter pole, he ran 400 meters in 22.1 seconds, absolutely soaring. It was the fastest individual split of the race. They went a fairly good clip early, but this was just explosive from Mujarib. The barn did not expect this at all. Horse was dismissed in the UK at 33-1, only 5-1 on the tote, which commingles money with South Africa. But I assure you, that was really an oversight, I think, more than anything. Mujarib deserved to be higher than he was on the tote, but congrats to the tote players that had him at only 5-1. It was a very impressive effort. And Joe, about this, and we actually talked about this over the course of the week, just dissecting the races, Mujarib looks like he's slowing at the end. I think he was pulling himself up. Were you of the same impression?
Yeah, I would agree, too. He fired so hard off the turn once he straightened away and got to the lead, and then it looked like he was pulling himself up. I mean, Mushrek ran huge. He was game again. He was hemmed in. The winner got the jump on him. He was impressive in his own right. But very rarely can you say a deep closer may have moved a little too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, usually they just get up in the nick of time and they continue that momentum. He made the lead earlier and looked like he was pulling himself up a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see moving forward off of this race just how good this horse is because, like you said, he even surprised the connections.
Sixth Al Rashidiyah win for Mike DeCock. It was impressive, and actually, what I noticed on one of the gallop out videos, Mujarib comes, once Mushrek comes up to Mujarib in the gallop out, Mujarib then rebreaks and lengthens out in front of him. So I think he was just kind of playing around and loafing on the lead there at the end. Very impressive effort. Both horses, a lot to take out of it.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, Pat, that was then. This is now. Thursday, February the 6th, 10:15 Eastern, first post time for the initial thoroughbred race. We've got one to kick things off. First thoroughbred race will start race number 2, 6 thoroughbred races all told. Featured races, and I mentioned a really good card. Pair of 250 granders. The UAE 1000 Guineas goes off as race number 4, and round 2 of the Al Maktoum Challenge goes off as race number 6. And Pat, as always, through Super Saturday, free pass performances via Timeform US. And if you haven't tried the Timeform US PPs for the Dubai racing or for the American racing, check them out. There's a heck of a lot of advantages, and they're really, really fun to use for players at all levels. Pat, let's start with race number 3, $75,000 Maiden Classic Trial. Field of 12 slated to test their talent, courage, speed, and stamina over 1,400 meters on grass. Pretend and Journeyman are the defined morning line favorites at 5-2 and 7-2 respectively, but both of us fancy horses with a long shot chance in this one.
Yeah, it was a little tough making this line, Joe. Pretend comes off of the layoff and had 2 lifetime races, both of them on all weather, which you don't normally see the Godolphin horses go all weather, then come to turf in this type of a situation. So it did throw me off a little bit, but I had to make them the favorite because of that very impressive win at the end of his 2-year-old season. Journeyman, you figure Mike DeCock, second up improver from South Africa, getting back on turf where he was successful before. That is a horse that I think has to yield some interest, but there's a lot of different ways you can go here. Now, it's worth noting that the winner of this race last year, Elaval, has the same connections, owner, trainer, and jockey as number 5. He's no saint. Elaval won this. He was dismissed at some 20+ to 1. Well, he's no saint. I don't think he'll be that high, but he is pace in this race. There's a couple other pace factors. I think we'll see pace potentially from number 6, Make It Real. Najim Suhail should go forward. I think there's going to be some decent early gallop. So what does that leave us to do? Let's go back and look at some of the potential closers. So let's go to the video. This was the 2,000 Guineas trial at Maiden. Going to highlight 2 horses. The first is Figure of Speech. He is the farthest out, the widest horse in this particular race. And then just to his inside is Journeyman in the black silks. Now, Figure of Speech was off slow. Journeyman was off pretty slow too. Both of them covered a lot of extra ground in this particular race. I'd say overall it was, we'll get to the stats in a second, but Figure of Speech really was widest on the outside, covered a lot of ground, and when you factored in what that extra ground was, it actually made up for his margin of defeat. He was closing well at the end. He had a lot of good closing kick. Look, he's drawn in gate 11 here again, so he is probably going to cover some extra ground, but I think he'll get a decent pace set up once again. Figure of Speech, in a race where I don't have a whole lot of choices, where I'm really all that strong, I'm certainly not that strong on the favorite, he stands out to me on the data, and it leads us to the track stat of the day. In the 2,000 Guineas trial, Figure of Speech covered 11 meters more than the winner Emirates Flyer. Journeyman, who was 9th, covered 10 meters more than the winner. Now, the margin for Figure of Speech was made up by the extra ground that he covered. So, overall, in a race where I don't have a whole lot of huge opinions, I'm going to make him my value play of the day, but I certainly can see people going in different directions and looking for a little bit of play here.
And Pat, a horse that kind of intrigues me in here is Autumn Lily. Appleby obviously has Wedding Ring primed for a win in the Guineas, and this filly shows up here off of what I felt was an excellent tightener and a well-placed horse for this particular spot. The wild card to me appears to be Eye in the Sky, who's undefeated in 2 starts. But this horse, for me, based on the competition he's faced, is kind of impossible to gauge.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. It's tough to really gauge how the Scandinavian horses are going to do. That's Eye in the Sky. Uh, Autumn Lily's actually the winningest horse in the race, Joe. 3 wins under her belt. She'll get a gender allowance here as a filly going up against mostly boys, so that can't hurt her. Look, I really can't talk you off her. And even another to mention, the first-time starter, number 10, Salvadori. I actually picked this horse in my first 3. I picked this horse second by a dam named Rochelle. Rochelle dropped a horse named Amadeus Wolf, who was a multiple graded stakes winner, a group stakes winner, including 3 very big stakes wins as a juvenile, all of them on grass. Hasn't turned out a whole lot of other things, but Salvadori really caught my eye, and this is the type of race where I think you maybe need to search for a price.
Yeah, and you can take a look at the tote action and take a look at the horse in the the walking ring and coming out to the racetrack and then the warm-ups as well to try to get an additional clue on a horse that obviously has no experience in racing. Pat, race 4 is the co-featured 1,000 guineas for 3-year-old fillies traveling 1,600 meters over to PETA. Wedding Ring edged Magruma in the trial and in my opinion looked very good doing it. Is there a scenario here where you see Magruma potentially turning the tables on Wedding Ring?
In the sense that she is very likely to improve second up, I think she can, and it's very possible. I ended up picking her second. I actually think we're staring down another exacta of what happened in the 1,000 guineas trial. And you know what, Joe? Let's go back and take a look at it. The 2 horses will highlight Wedding Ring in the all blue with the white, and then Magruma, who has the yellow with the blue cap here. Very prominent silks that we're used to seeing here. And look, the pace in this race was not that fast. Wedding Ring, however, came home as fast as the fast-closing Russian Soul did in the Dubawi Stakes later on in that same card. They both came home with the same final 200-meter split, which were the fastest final 200-meter splits on Tapeta that night. That, to me, was encouraging to suggest that if there is a little more pace in this race, that it could really separate these two. So I think Magruma can improve in that classic second up. Maybe some concern that Richard Hughes rides and not Christoph Sumian. He chooses to ride Mensura, number 9, who we saw last week, really not do much against a really tougher set of older fillies. So she should strip fitter for that. The thing is, there's going to be a lot of pace in here. Number 10, Letter from America, and number 11, Sign of Lucky. I had the pleasure of watching 4 of her races from Russia. She's a freak on the front end. How she translates that and how it comes over here is a question mark. She's a long shot. And number 3, Fidya is worth considering. Fidya, very impressive in her all-weather win. She had a fairly mature 2-year-old run on grass at Ascot as well in a short field, which I like. So I go 8-7-3 here in the 1,000 guineas. Wedding Ring gives Godolphin another guineas.
And Pat, I'm going to stick with Wedding Ring. Unbelievable turn of foot. I think this filly has a tremendous amount of upside. Looking very forward to the Guineas on Thursday. And speaking of looking forward to races, what about round 2 of the Maktoum Challenge? 1,900 meters on Tapeta. It goes off as race number 6. And Pat, the class of the field is the number 8, Hunter's Light, who, when he's right, is an absolute beast, especially on synthetics. He hasn't raced since October at Ascot. Do you find that winners of round 2 of the Maktoum Challenge are classy horses who are maybe coming back off of a layoff, or horses who have already had a run at the Carnival?
It's been a mix, Joe, at Maiden. 4 runnings of this race at Maiden. 2 of them were second up. 2 of the winners were first up. So it has been a mix. Hunter's Light was one of those horses that came first up here last year. A bit of a Carnival revelation. He was a very impressive winner of this race last year. Took it by 3.5 over Surfer. And let's go back to the video, Joe. Let's go take a look at it. 3 horses will highlight. All 3 of them come back in this spot. First, we'll highlight Surfer. He's up on the front end in the yellow silks. Hunter's Light has the blue silks with the white cap, just behind Surfer. And then on the lead, actually on the rail and on the lead at this point, is Prince Bishop. He's in the blue silks with the black cap. We play it out. Prince Bishop is going to slightly fade here. He puts in a good effort, but the main focus has to be on Hunter's Light and Surfer. They run two very good races. Surfer is a big improving horse, but he's drawn in 15 in this year's renewal, so that is going to be very frustrating for Connections. Look, Hunter's Light was the favorite on the morning line for the Dubai World Cup. He did not run his race, Joe. He's a winner at 1900, a winner at 2000. It could have been that he had run two very big races on the all-weather and now isn't, he just wasn't 100%. He maybe dug into the tank a little early. That's potentially possible, but I like him here in what is it's a 16-horse field. It's wide open, and I think there's a lot of possibility, so I do tend to favor Hunter's Light in this spot.
Yeah, for me, he's just going to have to reprove himself. I think there are a lot of other horses that have a chance to win this at much better prices, so we'll see. And I'm going to ask you about a few of these, Pat. We're going to start with Artigiano, who was last seen running a good third on opening night behind Mushrak and Gabriel, both of whom have since come back to perform well again. That was on turf. This is on Tapeta, a surface that is foreign to this 4-year-old.
It is, but the breeding is phenomenal, Joe. We're talking distorted humor out of an AP Indy. He should go on a surface that isn't grass. We would expect to see that. Here's the thing that's important to watch out of this last race of his. I think he really digs in. He shows himself, like it looks like he is a horse who was saying, I've come off a long layoff. I'm finally getting myself back into the swing of things. Remember, this was the same night Steeler came back and ran a fairly decent race. We didn't see much from him since, but it was good enough, I think, for Artigiano. And he's drawn 13. It's funny, a lot of the favorite horses here, African Story, Artigiano, Surfer, they're all drawn out wide. African Story was a Godolphin Mile winner in the past. So there's a lot of questions there. So for me, Artigiano is in the mix, but he's going to have to work out a trip from that outside draw.
Well, a little bit more about African Story, who hasn't been seen since finishing 5th behind Animal Kingdom in last year's World Cup. That's one horse I want to ask you about. And then again, Battle of Marengo, who tries synthetics for the first time. Both of these horses have a touch of class. How are they going to return?
Yeah, Battle of Marengo first. He was a private purchase for Ernst Ortel and for Sheikh Sultan bin Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Look, they've got a lot invested in this horse. This is his first start back. It's not the goal. They're going to see how he gets over the Tapeta. I think they're going to be happy with an average effort that he can progress off of. African Story, for some reason last year, Godolphin said his best distance was over the 2,000 meters. If you looked at the form, I just didn't see it. They said it. He actually ran better than I thought he would have when he ran 5th in the World Cup. He is going to have to prove himself. He's done well off layoffs as well. So, again, those horses are in with chances, and frankly, I think you could go deeper than that, Joe.
Well, Pat, I have to sneak in at least one bad pun on every one of these shows, and I'm going to do it right now. Another horse who can make some serious noise at boxcar odds is Heavy Metal.
Yes.
30-1 on the morning line, tightened on grass last out. He too will make his first start on Tapeta. He's got some interesting running lines though, Pat. 30-1, any shot here?
I'll give him a shot, Joe. In fact, I actually picked him third. I think he has a chance to improve. He was never going to do much in that first run. We knew that. It was much too short of his best. He does stretch out a little bit here. This is a test. Does he like this surface? Does he get over it? Does he run credibly? If so, World Cup might be the aim. If not, back to the grass and either the Duty Free or the Shima Classic. It's a test. Approach it as such. He might be 30-1 to win, but what is he to run third in this race? I think that's a good way to look at it. And, Joe, I think you could make a case for number 1, Zahi. We have a Melbourne Cup winner here in Duna Den, a Carnival winner in Zain Shamardal. It's a fantastic race.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And getting back to Zahi, Pat, last week I dismissed his chances going 1,400 meters because I thought it was a springboard to a longer race. He won anyway and did so with plenty left in the tank. Now he stretches out to a distance that he should prefer. I think there's a chance that he could run the best race of his life at a square price. How do you evaluate him?
Sumian's going to need to work out a trip. I don't think they're happy with the rail draw. He was outside last week, covered extra ground, turned it into a bit of a longer race, and that's why I think, that certainly helped him. So they're going to try and work outside. The thing is, there might be some, I don't know if there's going to be a ton of pace to run at, but he'll get a mid-pack trip, and if they can just kind of work him outside or get the right split, Zahi's in with a chance, sure.
Well, Pat, we've gotten through all of the thoroughbred races with the exception of one, and we haven't gotten your best bet of the day yet, so why don't you provide that to us, buddy?
Yeah, race 7, number 10, El Estrendoso. We avoided this horse twice. We're just trying to wait for the right time. Um, well, I mean, we were on him last time, but anyway, this is the time. El Estrendoso for us is the one. 5-2 morning line. Made him the best bet of the day. Ran so well against Gabriel and just bounces back out of this. So he certainly seems healthy and fit. El Estrendoso for me in it's just a great day.
Well, Pat, I had a little bit of free time this past week, and I jumped into several Derby Wars contests and really had a heck of a lot of fun with it. And I signed up for the Free Dubai World Cup Carnival contest coming up Thursday. It's a free $150 game, and if you play, you're going to get to test your skills against me and several other players. And last week it came down to the absolute wire, and actually we had a dead heat for the win in the contest between Cherokee Scott and Castillo J2. 39.30 was the winning total, and they both had Saxo Jack in race number 6. Now, you can get into this contest, you can get into other Dubai contests, you can get into contests every day based on different tracks. So if you haven't tried Derby Wars yet and you love horse racing and you love competition, visit derbywars.com. Test your skills, games for every skill level and bankroll level as well. You can also join Horse Racing Nation. Fans from all over the world, over 33,000 on Facebook. Hundreds of thousands of people visit this website on a regular basis and intermingle with each other. HorseRacingNation.com. Follow on Facebook, follow on Twitter too. Pat, give the people out there that are thinking about playing this contest a little food for thought and some of your selections for the day.
There should be no lack of opportunity to get some prices home in races 2, 5, and 7. Big fields, big handicaps, lots of options. Start in the second. Number 7, My Freedom. We chased this horse last time, Joe. I think he's a better price in this spot today. So I went with My Freedom in a very wide open race. Again, figure of speech, 12-1. I think that's a good price on him. In the 5th race, Star Empires. A bit of a key play as we'll look at the Bankroll Challenge in a second. I didn't put win money on him, but I like him here. I think he will really improve for the extra ground. Hunter's Light in the stake, and then El Estrendoso on the bottom. What are your spot plays?
Let's bang them out. We've got a couple of good square prices and a horse that I don't think can lose if she gets the right trip. Race 3, I'll go to Autumn Lily at 8-1. Good tightener last time. Should be a square price in a race where I think she fits like a glove. Wedding Ring in the Guineas. Explosive last time. I think she makes it 2 in a row. And we'll try another bit of a price play. And you mentioned this horse has to work a trip. But at 12-1, I think the risk is worth the reward on number 1, Zahi, in race number 6. Al Maktoum Challenge round 2. Pat, bankroll, we both tanked the first week, but we both been very productive the last 3 weeks, and we're both almost back to the break-even level.
We are. It was nice. I had a nice trifecta, and you had a nice win play on Ottoman Empire with your spot play. So, look, we are almost there, but you are still beating me. But, we'll try and change that this week.
Bushrak, man, that was tough. I had 40-1 on him.
Hey, I had
ran a big race, and you've got your bankroll bets here, Pat, and you're spreading your money all over Dubai like butter, buddy.
Yeah, a lot going on. We'll just throw them up there and get our man Danny to put them up. Look, I play a pick 3 starting in race 3. We'll get some money on figure of speech. We have a trifecta here in the 4th race that I played for $1 using some of the logical horses. And a pick 3, the horse that's keyed in this pick 3 is Star Empire in the 5th race. Go really deep in the Maktoum Challenge, and maybe we'll catch a price, and then back it up with El Estrendoso in that 5th race, pick 3. And then I had $5 left over, Joe. I had to bet $5 to place on Diesel Leader because the price is going to be too good in the last race to ignore. So 5 to place on Diesel Leader, and hey, I'll take a win, even if it's that way. You, on the other hand, are a little bit simpler in the Bankroll Challenge.
Yeah, I'm just taking the 3 horses I like and playing win and or win place. Win place on Autumn Lily, big 50 to win on Wedding Ring. Hopefully I can more than double my money on her, and then going back to Zahi with a win place wager in race number 6. Don't forget you can follow Pat and myself on Twitter, Pat at Dubai Race Night and or Trackus Racing. I'll be at Joey Decay Racing, and I will be playing in that Derby Wars contest as well for Dubai on Thursday morning. So playing in the contest, tweeting at the same time, Pat, that's what we're all about, multitasking.
Pleasure, Joe. As always, great night looms, And good luck in the Bankroll Challenge. You're going to need it.
Don't forget, first post for the initial thoroughbred race on Thursday will be 10:15 American Eastern Time. For the incomparable one, Pat Cummings, I'm Joe Christofak. Enjoy the racing.